What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Gregson, and welcome back to my Subaru WRX. Can you see? Where is it? Oh, it's actually behind me. Never mind. I keep forgetting where the WRX is in this car. It's actually behind me. So, yeah, let's chat. I'm actually driving back from the airport. I just dropped off Chad and Hanson because we have a very, very special announcement to make next week or the week after. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but they are on their way to do something really, really cool. And I dropped them off for it. They are flying to a location and they will be driving something back, which is going to be cool. So stay tuned for that. We'll announce that, as I said, in the next week or two. So yeah, we'll have a video on that, an introduction and a follow-up. So I just did that, but I thought on the way home from dropping them off, it would be a good time to make a quick video for you. So maybe a couple months ago, I did the 5 things I love about my Volvo V70R, and I wanted to do the 5 things I hate about the Volvo V70R. I thought it was an interesting time to do that for you. So I know I'm not in the Volvo right now, but I wanted to make the video and kind of just make a quick one for you guys. So without further ado, and without me rambling anymore, here are the 5 things that I hate about our Volvo V70R. Also, before I get started, not sure, but I'm wearing the Shifting Lanes hoodie. We have them for sale on our store. They will be in the description below. The link to that, it's on Teespring. So yeah, go check that out and buy, you know, some of our merchandise. There's also Team Dadwagon shirts for if you guys support the Volvo, and all the proceeds of that go directly to our builds on our channel. We don't take a dime. In fact, we don't take a dime from anything we do. All of the stuff gets recycled back into the business. So anything that we do that you guys watch, all the ad revenue and all of the revenue from t-shirt sales and whatever we do throughout the year, sponsorships, what have you, goes directly back into the business, and that right now is going directly back into our builds. So go check those out if you like them. You know, purchase a hoodie, purchase a shirt. They're really not that expensive. They're like 20 bucks or something. So yeah, thank you in advance if you have, or if you plan on purchasing one, or if you have purchased one, thank you so much for doing that. Without further ado, let's get right into the Project Volvo. We got a lot of stuff coming up in the next few months with it. We have, as I had mentioned before, we have a custom exhaust. We're going to dip it, and that's temporary. So for all those that are worried about, you know, the car, you know, be looking bad or something because I'm going to do it, don't worry. We can always change the color. That's the great thing about Plasti Dip, is you can change the color to whatever you want and make it totally different than it was the last time. So we wanted to do that before we restore the whole exterior. So getting right to it, the first thing that I truly hate about this car, and actually before I start, let me preface it with these are the things that I disliked or hated about the car right when I first bought it. So I'm gonna leave out the accident we had, the mismatched panels now, color-wise. So those are not going to factor into this. This is kind of something I wanted to do a while back, but I haven't had time to. So the first thing that I really hate about the Volvo is that automatic transmission. It is truly terrible. It's good. It's a good transmission if you like lazy transmissions, and if you're an enthusiast, you shouldn't like lazy transmissions. So what happens is you have the comfort, sport, and advanced settings. In advanced, it's much more responsive. You get a little bit more sportiness with the gear ratios and selections. But the problem is, in comfort and sport, you put your foot down on the accelerator and you get this 1 second to 2 second delay, and it's just lazy. It's not a good transmission at all. I haven't driven a manual M66 transmission from that generation of Volvo V70Rs or V70s or whatever, but I imagine it is a vastly better transmission. 1, because it's a manual, and 2, because it's just a lot smoother because you're selecting the gears and you don't have to let the computer do anything for you. It's just, I don't know, it's not good. Automatic transmissions from anywhere before 2010 are they're really not great. Also, Volvo coming up, shout out, what's up S80? They're not great, and the automatic in the V70R is no exception. It's really not good, and I wish we could have found an M66 transmission, the manual, but this one came up, and I think it's going to be a lot more interesting to manual swap it than to just go buy a manual transmission. So for those of you telling me to sell it and go find a manual one, not going to happen. Would rather swap it and make better content for you guys. So that's the first thing. The second thing I hated about the car is actually how beat up it was. It was in good shape for its price and its age, but to compare it to, I guess, another car, I mean, I have, this is my WRX, this is a 2014, and it has, I'm checking literally right now, it just actually turned over on this drive to the airport, 70,000 miles. Now, I'll show you a little bit of what the car looks like. This car is in phenomenal shape. So when I do sell this car, and I do plan on selling it, we're not going to turn this into a project car anymore. Because we have the Volvo and we have Chad's M3 and we have other things coming down the pipe too. Turning this into a project car is just silly, especially since this is my daily. So I'll be looking for another daily in the next year, I'd say. But it's just the V70R was in such bad shape compared to this. I know it had 135,000 miles when I bought it, and I know it was a Pennsylvania-owned car and it had a lot of rust, but man, it really seemed like the previous owner just beat the living crap out of it. There were dents in the doors, there's rips in the seats. Now that's probably not his fault, he didn't gouge the seats up or anything. It may have been just over time, neglect of just throwing yourself into the seat rather than placing yourself and coming in. Could have been, weak stitching from Volvo. I'm not sure what the whole problem with that was, but it's just, I feel like a 136,000 mile car should have been better taken care of. Mechanically, it was in pretty good shape, especially for being according to the Carfax, a daily driver from Pennsylvania. Mechanically, it's in great shape. The engine pulls strong. Even the automatic, even though I hate it, is in good shape. And everything works in the car. Heated seats work. The radio works perfectly fine. Sorry if it's a little loud. It's raining and there's highway noise, and I'm doing like 65 right now, so apologies if it's a little loud in here, but I'm trying to talk a little louder. Yeah, everything in that car works great, or works great. So, I mean, I wish it was in better shape aesthetically, is probably a better way to put it. But again, that's part of a project car, also part of the reason why I bought it. So we can fix it up, we can restore it a bit, and turn it into something that is really, noteworthy, and to show you guys the journey along the way. But that's the second thing I really kind of hate about that car. Third thing I hate about that car is how expensive it is to fix compared to how cheap some of the parts feel. Now, a lot of you may not agree with me on this. Volvos, and I'm the first one to admit, now that I own one, Volvos are really well-made cars, and they're very solid. You can tell it when you close the door. They have this nice thud to them. It's very heavy. It's made with high-quality steel. But there are some places on that car that they cheaped out. And I think that has more to do with Ford than it does with Volvo, because that Volvo came from an era when Ford owned Volvo. They also owned a whole ton of other car makers at that time. I believe they still owned Mazda at that time. They owned Aston Martin at that time, which is where they ripped off the front end to get to their new Fusion front end. So a lot of it had to do, I think, with Ford. So the front bumper is plastic. It doesn't seem like it holds up very well. The bottom end of ours was all dipped and bowed, and I think it looked like someone rolled over a curb, one of those parking lot curbs, backed out, and like it just kind of came undone. Now, if I did that with another car now, even with the WRX, I feel like it would be better than that. I feel like the plastics in this car are of a higher quality than the plastics in the Volvo. Granted, this is a 10-year difference. I still maintain that I think they could have done a better job with the plastics in that car. Some of the interior and some of the car just feels cheap. It's not a ton of things, but I don't know. I just feel like originally when those things came out, they were 45 grand and I think they based for around 44, 43, and you could build them up with options and stuff to 55 plus, I think, $1,000. So to have that, I think it just feels like it should have been a little bit better quality in some of the materials, especially when you think about who Volvo is going up against. Volvo's trying to be a luxury car maker as well. So back in 2004, a $45,000 Mercedes or BMW versus a Volvo, I don't know. Maybe back then the BMW and Mercedes and Audi had better quality initially. I think now, seeing the differences, the Volvo has held up better over time. I just feel that a lot of those things felt cheap when I first got the car. So that's the third thing. Fourth thing that I dislike or hate about the V70R is I feel like it's a little underpowered from factory. When you think about the era that it was in, it seems on par for what it was trying to compete against. And when I say that, let's take the E46 M3 and the S60R, for example, not my V70R. The S60R, and we'll say the manual, had 296 split of horsepower and torque from the factory, right? So the E46 M3 had 333 horsepower from factory. It was also a lot lighter. So to say that the Volvo was underpowered, I think, is very true, especially because it was heavier. The E46 is, the Volvo is actually giving up, several hundred pounds to the E46, and the E46 has more horsepower. And when you make a car that's supposed to compete on that same level, and that, I believe, is what Volvo was trying to do that whole time, it's not exactly, it's not what I was expecting. And I don't think it's what a lot of people were expecting from Volvo at the time. I thought that a lot of people thought it was going to be a little bit more powerful. And now, going back to my V70R, what I own now, it's a 3,800 pound car. It's got 300 horsepower and it moves, but compared to modern sports cars and compared to even sports cars of the day, not that the Volvo wagon there's a sports car, because they were trying to be sportier, but let's call it how it is. The S60R and the V70R are not sports cars. They are sporty versions of normal cars. The same way this WRX is. This is, I think, it's a sports car kind of, just because of how the performance figures for this car are. 0 to 60 in 4.9, but it's a sporty version of an Econo box. The Volvo is not an Econo box, but I'm rambling here. I think it's a little bit underpowered for what it could have been. I'm actually kind of struggling to find 5 things that I really hate about the Volvo, and I think that's kind of showing through in this video. There's really not a ton to dislike. I'm kind of nitpicking a bit, but I think that this one probably is going to come off a little bit snooty as far as how cars drive, but I think I'm going to say the 5th thing that I hate about the Volvo is the all-wheel drive system, because 1, Haldexes aren't the best all-wheel drive systems. 2, the V70R and S60R Haldex systems are known to kind of not work sometimes. Mine's working fine, but I've heard and seen some of other examples of the car don't work anymore, and it's only front wheel drive at that point. It also has a pretty hefty front wheel drive bias until you're really on it, and then it kind of goes to more of a 60-40 split or 55-45 split. I'm not sure of that number, so please correct me in the comments with the exact number. Should have looked that up beforehand, but I'm kind of thinking this off the top of my head. So yeah, the way it drives is fine, and when you put it in advance, it's really good. But coming from this Subaru, it's not the same kind of driving experience, and I truly think that Subaru makes one of the best, if not the best, all-wheel drive system in the world, because I've driven this car in the snow with winter tires. I've driven other cars with all-wheel drive in the snow with winter tires, and it kind of doesn't compare that well, honestly. I think Subaru really does 2 things very, very well. How to make a really fun turbo car, and how to make an incredible all-wheel drive system. Their all-time all-wheel drive is amazing. If you've never driven a Subaru car, in the winter with winter tires, I think you need to go ahead and do that, because it's a totally different experience than almost any other all-wheel drive system I've driven, and I've driven a lot. The Volvo, VW, Mazda's real-time stuff, Honda's stuff, Toyota's, I believe, has a couple of them. I've driven a couple of those, and not to say that those aren't fine systems, because some of them are pretty good. VW and Volvo's are pretty good too, but I think that this is better, and the one from back then in the V70R isn't great. So yeah, again, nitpicking here. The car rides fine, it drives really well for a big 3,800 pound wagon from 2004 that's, you know, in fairly rough shape. So yeah, if I had to pick something, that would probably be my fifth thing. All right, so that will pretty much do it for this video. Thank you for sticking around this long if you have. And yeah, I think you can tell that I was kind of really grasping at straws to figure out 5 things I hated about the Volvo. I do truly like the car. I think it's awesome for the price I paid, for what it is. It's an incredible bargain. If you don't know anything about Volvos and the V70Rs from 2004 to 2007, you owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a used car, to go find one with around 100,000 miles, and they do exist. You can probably pick one up for between $5,000 and $10,000. You know, we picked ours up for $3,900, which was great, and 136,000 miles on it. And given how Volvo engines are, it's going to last for at least another, if you didn't do anything to it, it'll last another 50 to 100,000 miles, probably no sweat, especially if it hasn't been beaten on in the past. So yeah, it's a great car. I'm definitely a Volvo convert for life now. I think that they make great cars. I've driven a couple more since I bought that, and you know what they're doing now with Geely, their new owners. I think that they're on a really, really nice trajectory to become one of the premier mid-tier car companies in the entire world, and I think that shows in the quality product that they're putting out now. So yeah, that pretty much does it for this video. If you liked it, please smash the thumbs up button, because that actually helps us a lot. Comment below to tell me that you disagree, or that I'm totally wrong, or you hate me. Whatever, I don't care. It's YouTube comments. Meh, whatever. Yeah, so that'll do it. Please go out and buy the t-shirts and hoodies. We're gonna have more designed for Chad's Team Bimmer, for whatever Hansen buys, for just a bunch more of our stuff moving forward. So go ahead and check that out. It's on teespring.com if you search Shifting Lanes, or check out the description below. Pretty much, yeah, we have a lot of really cool stuff coming up in the next month, and I have a big blank eating grin on my face, because I know what's coming and you guys don't, and it's pretty big. It's major. So yeah, if you stuck around and you heard that, just stay tuned, because it's gonna get ridiculous in the next 3 to 4 months. Go check us out on Drive Tribe. That is the best place to find all of our stuff. If you haven't, go sign up for Drive Tribe. It is an awesome platform. It's basically Facebook for cars. We are part of their publisher network, and we are going to be there for the foreseeable future. They've totally ingrained us in there. We believe in the platform. It's awesome. You can chat with us on there. You can look at all of our articles on there, and you can find out more about the Project Volvo and other things we have coming up. There's also going to be some exclusive content on Drive Tribe that you cannot find on YouTube. So go sign up for Drive Tribe, please. That also helps us out too. And you can chat with us in real time if you want to. There's a chat literally on our tribe. We are the only full service automotive journal on Drive Tribe. Go there and watch our stuff, look at our stuff, read our stuff, because we love writing too. Thank you for watching. I will catch you next time for some really, really, really cool stuff. See ya.